Welcome back to the Goal of the Year Footy Show. Got plenty of things on the agenda for today, so strap yourselves in for a very intriguing episode. We'll welcome our hosts Lucas and Jaden and special guest Banjo.
Yep, good to be here, boys.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Yeah, Banjo's
Okay.
camera is not working, so we'll just have to work around that for the podcast tonight. We'll start off with review of last round. Very intriguing round, saw the ladder jump around a bit. Richmond's very exciting 42-point comeback against Brisbane at the G. Start with the Friday night game, though. A bit of a very comfortable win over in the West for Melbourne. They got the job done over Fremantle by 46 points. Your thoughts on the game, boys?
It was a blowout. Like, Melbourne had most of the possession the entire game, and Dockers didn't really do anything to fight back.
Yeah. Freo did not put up a fight at all. It was only probably like the late first quarter they started to fight back. Other than that, Melbourne just destroyed them.
Both the leading disposal getters were from Fremantle, Will Brodie and David Mundy. Of course, Mundy retiring now at the end of the year, recently announced, one of the greatest Fremantle players ever to play for Fremantle, but still Melbourne far too good. Bailey Fritsch and Cozzy Pickett both kicking 3 for the Ds.
Yeah. 35 disposals from David Mundy was pretty good. Apart from that, their achievements weren't that great.
Move on to the first Saturday afternoon game. The Pies continuing their winning streak, moving on to 10 consecutive wins, getting the job done despite a late surge by the Power 6-point victory.
This one was pretty one-sided until towards the end where Port Adelaide started making a comeback.
I did go to the game.
Lucky there.
Yeah, I did go to the game, and a lot of the possession was dominated Port Adelaide. Obviously, they got an early head start with the free kick before.
Yeah, that was
First
just
bounce.
just a brain fade from Nick Dacos. And probably just a cheap free kick for Port Adelaide.
Yeah. Goals, obviously, I'd say Jack Ginnivan with his Ginnivan 3 goals, but best on ground was probably
Connor
Jordan
Rosie.
De Goey.
Connor Rosie with his 35
Yeah, he got
touches
35
as
disposals. Banjo, your thoughts on the situation, or
It
Didn't watch
was a pretty good game, to be fair.
Yeah, it was.
it was
It
close?
was. The best on ground was awarded by Fox to Jordan De Goey. I thought Rosie was pretty good as well, but probably didn't have as much of an impact on the game as De Goey did. 23 disposals and 2 goals.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Talking about the next game now. The one I
obviously,
thought
the next game of the round, big blowout, as predicted by myself last week. Sydney getting the job done by 73 points over a very poor form GWS.
minor warning: do not listen to my tips whatsoever. They're not good to follow.
Nah, your tips haven't been very good recently, Lucas.
No,
Very, very poor.
Very,
poor.
very good performance from the youngster Errol Goulden, having 33 disposals and 2 goals, and absolute ripper of a game from him. Nick Blakey, 21 disposals and a goal. And a lot of youngsters for Sydney. A lot of youngsters.
Lance Franklin with 3 goals and Sam Reid with 3 goals. That forward line really good for Sydney. I reckon they can win the flag.
Shaping up very, very well heading into the finals. All in all, that game, very much a blowout, you got to say. The Hawthorn St Kilda game.
I wanted this one.
We almost got them there.
Yeah, it was very sad on my behalf. I was at the game.
I'm honestly okay, even with the loss.
Nah, we should not have let you come back that hard.
I'm still pretty happy that we came back. That's the thing with Hawthorn. Sometimes we don't have a good start and we're down by a lot, and then we come
St
back
Kilda.
sometimes.
It's just St Kilda. We can never end the
That
game.
happens sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, at three-quarter time, it was 64-30. So the last quarter was 12-33 as they came right back, and
McAvoy
in the
destroyed us in
end,
the second half.
in the end, St Kilda just holding on
edging
and getting
over.
the job done.
Very lucky.
I do have to say it's pretty disappointing by Hawthorn their lose streak, but
I gotta say, the youngster Jai Newcomb, pretty good. I would
Yeah.
say he was their best player.
Yeah, Newcomb's
Yeah.
game, 21 disposals and 2 goals.
Tom Mitchell
Probably-
with his usual 31. as
I
well.
mean, Warple missing that one directly in front.
Awful.
I'm not Warple. Frick, what was his name?
Best on ground for
Going
me.
through.
My best on ground was interesting one, probably Rowan Marshall. He had 30 disposals, but he had 7 tackles, which is very good game for him. 7 clearances, 465 metres gained.
Bruce did not put in. Sorry, that's the one who missed the one directly in front.
Ron Marshall with 30 touches as well. Pretty good from a ruckman.
Mm.
He's
I mean,
probably
yeah.
a good young piece for St Kilda.
Still had another good game as well. Didn't
Dan Hanbury
do
on his
quite as well.
return, 27 touches as well.
Yeah, he wasn't very good in first quarter, but started putting it on in the second and third.
We move into the other rather topsy-turvy game of the round where Western Bulldogs got out to a very good lead. They were up 27-8 at quarter time and 41-30 at half time, but obviously the Cats just too good and ran roaming over the top of them towards the end, getting the job done.
At a point, I thought the Bulldogs were kind of gonna win
Yeah.
because
I thought they'd pull up the upset over Geelong, especially when it was Joel Selwood's 350th. I thought,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, the
yeah,
Cats.
I thought the Bulldogs had a good chance up until around halfway through the third quarter. I thought there was no chance of a comeback there.
they got Geelong with some quick goals, and then there was no coming back after that.
Yeah, Geelong just absolutely dominated the Dogs in the second half as well.
Move on to the other Saturday night game. Definitely the massive upset of the round. Adelaide getting the job done by 29 points over the Blues and giving their finals hopes a massive
Top
blow.
four hopes. I mean, yeah, Carlton, they're just really inconsistent sometimes. They'll perform well against like some good teams and do absolutely terrible against really good teams as well. So, yeah, I
I've
think
got no
Carlton
words.
they will probably make finals, but just they won't stand a chance against like the top teams if they play any. Like, you
If-
know, Collingwood, Brisbane as well, Fremantle. Yeah. So Carlton won't stand a chance in the finals, in my opinion.
I think 2 big points of the game were probably number 1, Jack Silvani being dropped and coming in as the Medi sub. Obviously still kicked the goal as the Medi sub, but interesting decision to drop him, you've got to say. He's been playing some pretty good footy of late.
Yeah.
I just want to
Patrick
touch
Cripps with 41 touches.
41.
though.
Yeah,
Continuing his good form, but even in the loss with Adelaide.
should we head to the Suns match?
Um,
This one was a close one.
Yeah, we will in a second. The other one I just wanted to touch on quickly was the 2 that have been heavily criticised, Paddy Cripps and Sam Walsh. Despite getting 41 and 40 touches apiece, they've been criticised on their disposals being very unimpactful. Walsh, since he got drafted in 2018, has been known as a very impact player, but got some very deft touches throughout that game.
Yeah, agree. Because they've been trying to, like, you know, rush it in sometimes. Especially, well, that just happens in AFL. Especially when your team is losing, you would want to try and force things yourself. And I think that's why they've been criticised.
Yeah, you probably got to agree with that. And I think rightly so that they've been criticised for doing that. I don't think it's when you're down, you've got to try and create a couple of things and create a couple of chances to try and get your team up and back into the game.
Yeah, agree.
But we will move on to the Suns game now as they only just held on to the Eagles by 3 points in a late surging fight back. Jack Darling kicking 6 for the Eagles and Mabai Chol kicking 5 as he remains one of only players in the AFL to have kicked a goal every round this year.
Took Miller
that's a
with
pretty good
his
stat.
usual 31 touches.
I
Yeah,
think
And Noah
Darling.
Anderson with 29 was very good. Matt Rao was a bit disappointing with his 19 as one of the
That's
Suns'
still
better
good.
players.
I think
That's still
Darling had
good
it
for
easy
him.
though.
He's still young. But yeah,
I think
he has really good future. I'd say Took Miller, if he keeps on forming his game, I think he'll be a Brownlow medalist one day.
He'll be
he had 16 clearances and 21 contested possessions. Took Miller. That's pretty good.
yeah, he was very good. My best on ground was Took Miller, but Mabai Chol definitely up there. Actually, yeah, maybe you got to say Chol could have potentially been best on ground because he kicked goals in all different ways. I think that was the key to his game.
For me, Chol is very underrated in my point. He doesn't get like the shine for the Gold Coast. Mainly it's Took Miller for the Gold Coast Suns because he's in the midfield. But with Mario Chol, he's a really key piece for their forward line, and this is why they've been so good this year.
Yeah, you can't argue with that point, definitely, Jaden. But probably definitely the game of the round was the Richmond and Brisbane game at the MCG. Massive 42-point comeback as the Tigers keep their season alive in a thriller against Brisbane.
They needed to win this to keep their final hopes alive. Richmond, I think they did really well actually.
They do now
Really?
sit just a half game outside the 8 after their draw against Freo 2 weeks ago.
As tips go, this is the one that I tipped, and I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a pretty good call.
Cumberland with 5 goals. Right. Young star for Richmond as well. Averaging
Yeah,
2.2
Noah
goals
Cumberland
this season.
playing a very good game. Shea Bolton having an outstanding impact in that second half. Bolton had to be my best on with Cumberland up there as well.
Lockie Neal with his usual 31 touches. Tries to
Yeah,
make
for Brisbane, he
history
was
to win
very
the
good for
Brownlow
them.
medal. Yeah.
I thought that was a very important game for Richmond to win and also Brisbane to lose as it shakes up potentially the top 4 a little bit going into the finals.
Yeah. Brisbane, they needed to win that game to, keep their top 4 hopes alive, but just blew it to Richmond because at halftime or at quarter time, they looked like they were running away with the game. They just stuffed it up in the third quarter. Very, very shameful, especially for a top elite club this year who have been playing very good footy.
Yeah, they haven't won a game at the G in a very long time.
I have to say that's kind of a disappointing loss for the Lions there.
Yeah, we all, I think, agree with that statement.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the last game of the round, though, the Sunday afternoon clash between the Essendon Bombers and North Melbourne Kangaroos. Smashing, of course, the Bombers getting the job done by 48 points. Jai Simpkin, an unbelievable amassing 41 touches for the Kangaroos, though, in their shining light. But Zach Merritt's 38 for Essendon with a
Jake
goal.
Stringer's 5 goals as well.
Yeah, I think Essendon's hit their form late in the season. Sadly, they should have had it earlier. They're really hitting their strides now, but it's a little too late in the season.
Yeah, they've won a few games of late. Obviously, Jamie Elliott just kicking the goal after the siren in their game against Collingwood.
How was Jake Stringer's match total of 5 goals?
Yes, very impressive from him.
I think another one to touch on, Jaden Stevenson having 34 disposals, because he obviously hasn't been as good for North Melbourne this year, got dropped into the reserves. So I think that was a good comeback game for him.
Yeah, but North Melbourne, they're just like a really broken club because whoever plays them is technically, they probably from Lucas, they're going through a rebuild, but still, they're a really broken club because basically whoever plays them technically is a free win for a club. And yeah.
Yeah, almost it seems like that. We'll move on though to this upcoming round 21 tips, starting with an absolute banger, 2 versus 3 on Friday night. It's Melbourne and it's Collingwood.
I think Melbourne will win this by 6. I think it'll be a close game, but Melbourne do have their form.
Yeah, I agree with Lucas, but I think Melbourne will win by 10 goals. Not 10 goals, 10 points. Mainly because Melbourne, they're back in form as well. So, yeah.
Banjo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I reckon Melbourne's gonna win. I'm not sure the distance between how the win and loss, but
What are your
Yeah.
initial reactions and how much do you think they'll win by? Just give us a number.
maybe around like 10 or so.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I reckon Collingwood will get the job done in another close game. I'm going to go Collingwood by 7, just because Brody Myercheck coming back in, I think, could be very important. It's also Jamie Elliott's 150th game for the Pies.
Yeah, but your midfield, like Taylor Adams, is out, which is probably one of your key pieces in your midfield.
And Wiedemann omitted and Ben Brown in as
yeah.
well.
I
Yeah.
reckon the
Brett will be
Pies might
key
hold
for
the
that
lead
forward line.
until the third quarter.
Yeah.
It's an
Maybe.
interesting, very interesting call game, that one. But I'm just going to say my Pies, just get the job done. We move into Jaden and Banjo, both your Hawks taking on the Suns at the Utah Stadium, 1:45 Saturday afternoon.
Hawks will win. Easy for them to win.
We
It's their
should
home
win.
ground.
We barely lose at Tasmania. I think Hawks by 20 points. Even
20?
though, or
I think-
probably 10 to 20 points.
I reckon about 18.
Even though we don't have Mitchell Lewis and CJ Jaff, we got Jarman Impey back in our defense or forward because he can play either forward or back.
Yeah, probably interesting call for you guys. I reckon the Suns will get the job done. I'm going to go Gold Coast by 15 points.
Gold Coast will carry the lead for the smallest amount of time, mate. Hawks will come back strong.
Yeah, I know it's at Utah's, and I know you guys do quite well there, but I still reckon the Gold Coast will get the job done. You guys are not performing very well this year, so.
We've lost
enough,
almost
fair enough.
every single game to the Suns for 3 years.
I think you guys are throwing for draft picks, to be honest, at this point.
Yeah, I think so. We'll probably try to get the lowest that we can be and then get a high draft pick
Yeah.
this year.
We'll go
Which is actually a pretty good plan.
We'll go to GWS and Essendon again. Tips, boys.
This is going to be a close one. I think Essendon, because they've got pretty good form at the moment. I think Essendon will win.
The Bombers will win. They'll run away with this one. With
Yeah.
Darcy Parish and Andrew McGrath back in, this Essendon side will be really strong this weekend. And I think Essendon will win by 30 points.
Yeah, I think the key for them is Darcy Parish coming back in. I'm going to go Essendon by 47 points.
That's a weird number. I'm going 20. Keeping it low.
Yeah, I was going to be Essendon by around 20-something points, yeah.
Yeah, because Essendon are in form, and the huge ins for them will mean probably a huge win for them this weekend.
The Dogs and the Dockers at Marvel. With
Freo need to win this game
They do.
for top 4 at least.
the top 4, the Dogs, they've got Adam Treloar back in and Alex Keith, but they've also got their number 2 draft pick, Sam Darcy, making his debut.
Yeah.
I'm going to go that I reckon, especially Freo, won't be very high on confidence after their massive loss against Melbourne last week. I'm going to say the Dogs get this job done by 19 points.
Yeah, I agree with Tarkin. I think I'd also go the Dogs by probably 3 goals, 18 points. Mainly
Yeah.
because the Dogs have key-ins, and also the Dogs are playing in Melbourne.
Yeah, Dogs are gonna win, I reckon.
Banjo.
I'm honestly, I have no idea who's gonna win this one.
Yeah, I think it can go either way, to be
I
honest.
hope it's the Dogs, but if Fremantle win, good on them. I reckon they're lower on confidence, but they may come back with just a little bit more kick in them.
Well said.
Geelong and St Kilda.
As a Saints fan, Geelong are winning.
The
I
only
had, I
big,
had to put it nicely.
the
Aren't
only one
Geelong
is
minor premiers. They've already sealed themselves as minor premiers this year, haven't they?
they've definitely sealed top 4.
I think they have sealed minor premiers.
Mathematically, other teams could beat them in minor premiers, but very unlikely.
Yeah.
The 2 big ones are like Gary Rowan injured and Joel Selwood being rested for the Cats.
But
I
it's
mean,
also
they do get their
GMHBA.
ruck back in Reece Stanley, but St Kilda get Dougal Howard back, which is key for their
No,
defense.
we don't like Dougal Howard. He's not very good. He throws too much. He costs us too many goals.
His
Well,
100th
you're a St
game
Kilda
though,
fan, I
so
don't know anything.
Yeah, that is a fact.
I do still have to say though, it's an interesting call for Geelong to go and manage Joel Selwood because I reckon that gives a bit of an indication that they're quite confident on beating St Kilda.
I reckon they're gonna
Yeah,
retire him honestly
definitely.
soon, very soon.
Still,
Well, I
Geelong for mine get the job done by 29 points.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Geelong will run away by at least 30 points.
Yeah, I'm
My
going with that as well. Being optimistic as well.
opinion.
I have to say, I reckon Geelong's got this by a long shot.
Yeah. I think they're resting their players for final season as well.
Yes, definitely.
We'll move in to Port Adelaide and Richmond. After Richmond's massive comeback last week.
Yeah, I think Richmond will win by about 10, honestly.
I mean,
They're-
I think looking at the lineups, Dylan Grimes is injured for the Tigers,
But their
and
confidence is
that would
high.
be a big out for their defense. And also Shane Edwards is being managed. But in Port Adelaide, they get one of their key defenders, Dan Houston, back in the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I reckon Port Adelaide still get the job done by 7 points.
Yeah, because Port Adelaide are at home. Usually between these clubs, when they play in Adelaide, it usually is a very close game after the past recent encounters. So I think Port Adelaide will run away by 5 points.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Banjo?
Sorry, yeah, Richmond's probably got this one in the bag. I do. It is Port Adelaide's home ground, but Richmond's still going to go strong, I reckon.
Moving to the Sunday games. A lot of ins for North Melbourne. Aaron Hall, Aiden Core, Flynn Perez, Josh Goda, Lockie Young, and Paul Curtis all coming
It's not
back
gonna be
in
enough.
to their
It's not gonna be
side.
enough. Sydney are too good at this point, I reckon.
Sydney are in a really good form.
And as Jaden said earlier, it's a free win for Sydney.
Yeah, because North Melbourne, you never know what with North Melbourne, but Sydney will probably dismantle North Melbourne like they did with GWS. I think, in my opinion, this is a bold take, but I think Sydney by 100.
Yeah, I think North are just going to continue to lose games on purpose
Wow.
now. 'Cause
Wow, that
draft
is Jaden, that is big.
North
The
are
only
bad.
one-
What happened with GWS, I thought they'd only win Sydney by 40
And
points.
GWS are
Ended up beating them by
much
73.
better than North.
And
they
yeah,
got destroyed.
Only one I will say is obviously Ben Cunnington not ending up in the North Melbourne team after there were definitely talks about his dramatic return but not to be this week.
You never know. Things can change by the end of this week if there is any injuries to North's side.
Still, Sydney for me by 67 points.
I'm going about 80 Sydney's way.
Bench?
Yeah, I reckon it's probably going to go strong towards Sydney. I have no idea for a margin of how many points they'll win by, but I reckon they've got this one.
Sydney by 100. Bold take.
Well, not really.
Brisbane and Carlton at the Gabba.
Two of the probably right now the inconsistent teams. But Brisbane playing at Brisbane, honestly, Brisbane will probably run away with this win, about 20 points.
Yeah, I think about that as well. Brisbane are pretty good at home as well, normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Brisbane will recover from their loss against the Tigers and get the job done by 19 points.
Yeah, because Brisbane, they get one of their experienced backmen back in Daniel Rich after that concussion against Gold Coast. So, yeah, they should be able to win this game.
Final game of the round, I think, honestly, Adelaide are going to win.
I'm going a bit of a bold one with Greg Clark, Jackson Nelson, Josh Kennedy, Zach Langdon, Sam Petrescu-Seaton, and Rhett Bazzo all coming in for the Eagles. I reckon they're going to get the job done.
Yes,
Bold call.
I agree with talking because mainly because the Eagles are playing at home and they get a lot of key players back in their side. I think West Coast will run away with a 15-point win.
This game looks pretty 50-50 to me. It could go either way, I reckon. So, yeah, I guess I'm leaning more towards the West Coast Eagles. So,
yeah.
So we'll move on to we're going to go chances of making finals and then also each team's chance of winning the flag. Hawthorn, Essendon, Adelaide, GWS, West Coast and North Melbourne don't count because it's mathematically not possible for each of those teams to make finals. But we'll start with Port Adelaide, who are currently sitting 12th on 32 points.
Low chance. I don't think they're going to make it, to be honest.
Yeah, Port Adelaide probably wouldn't have a chance to
Wait, what are the upcoming games?
Yeah, can we see the upcoming games?
Yeah, what are they?
The next game is Richmond.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
You've essentially just got to give them a 1% chance of making finals because the only way they get in is for Gold Coast, Western Bulldogs, Richmond and St Kilda to lose every one of their remaining games and they've got to win every one.
Which is possible if you're talking about just St Kilda, but the other teams, I don't think.
Yeah.
Next
Power,
team.
yes, they play Richmond. And they play Essendon, which they should win that game. So the game against Richmond, they must win this game. If not, they cannot make finals. I think.
I don't think they're making it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gold Coast on 36 points on 11th on the ladder.
Still very low.
They would be a 2% chance of making finals because they've got that one extra win under their belt, but still very, very, very unlikely.
Yeah, because they play Hawthorn this week, which is you never know what could happen. Definitely.
Yeah.
But then next week they play Geelong, which
they're not winning.
They would have to win that game to have a chance of competing for the 8th.
Yeah, so it's very, very, very unlikely for them.
They play North Melbourne, which is a free win technically.
We'll go to the
Western Bulldogs is pretty possible.
Place 40 points.
Yeah, it's pretty possible. They got really easy matches coming up.
They play Fremantle this week,
but they
can win this game definitely.
And then if they win the next game off that, they have a good chance to make
the Giants. They play the Giants after round 22, and they can definitely win that game. And then after that, they play Hawthorn in Tasmania. So all those, they can win at least 2 out of 3 of those games, or they could win all of their games for the remaining fixture.
Richmond making finals. Should we talk about that next?
Yep. I'm going to give Richmond a 38% chance of making finals.
I think they can make the 8, especially, no offense, Lucas, with
St Kilda are not winning.
St Kilda being very inconsistent because Richmond, they play the Power this week, then they play Hawthorn, and then they play who do they play? They play Essendon. So I think they can win at least 2 out of 3 out of those games, and you never know what could happen in the Port Adelaide game.
Yeah, I reckon they're gonna make it.
They would be able to make it, definitely.
They probably will. St Kilda's probably dropping out. We got a hard run home.
St Kilda. You guys play Geelong this week,
then the Lions, and then Sydney.
Yeah, I'm still gonna give you guys. Still gonna say 50% chance of making finals. 50-50.
No,
I mean you can never know what would happen with St Kilda, but they've got to play really.
We need to put
well.
In.
They need to play really good footy for the next 3 weeks.
If they
can keep their form, what they did at the start of this season, then yes, they can definitely make finals.
Yeah, but it's a very low chance.
We'll go to Carlton, who are sitting 7th with 48 points under their belt.
I think it's pretty possible they'll stay in the 8.
They play Brisbane this week, and then they play Melbourne.
Oh, that's a hard game. Those are hard 2 games.
I know. So then after that, they play Collingwood. So they've got
a hard run home as well.
Kilda, they've got 3 hard games. So you never know what it could turn out because I think Richmond and the Dogs have a chance of knocking Carlton and St Kilda.
I'm still going to give Carlton 52% chance of making finals.
Yes,
these are weird numbers. I'm sorry.
Carlton have to win at least one of their games to make finals.
Yeah, probably 2 you'd have to say, but 1 possibly.
The minimum is 1 because St Kilda play tough teams and the other teams as well, like Richmond and the Bulldogs. So yeah.
We'll move to Freo. Their draw against Richmond a couple of weeks ago, leaving their points on 50. Your thoughts on them making the 8?
They've solidified themselves, I'm pretty sure.
I think they've solidified. Yeah, I agree with Lucas because Fremantle, they have the Dogs, and then I think they play West Coast, which is probably an easy game for them, and they should be able to win that. After in round 23, they play GWS, so they can definitely win at least 2 of their games.
I mean, mathematically, they're definitely not guaranteed to make finals, but I'm going to give them a 73% chance.
Mainly because, they've got for the next, round 22 and round 23, they play probably one of the bottom 3 teams, the bottom 2 of the bottom 3 teams, and they should be able to run away and make, at least top 6.
And if they win that, they don't have to try anymore. They can just they're in the 8.
They just need to win at least a game or so to solidify their place in the finals.
I think the next 5 teams they've all solidified. They can't get out.
Well, Sydney and Brisbane can miss,
but it's a low chance.
It's very, very unlikely.
Both of those teams are playing St Kilda.
I'm going to give both those teams a 95% chance of making the finals.
Brisbane, they play Melbourne and St Kilda for the next 2 rounds after round 21. So they probably will beat St Kilda and might lose to Melbourne, but you never know what can happen because it is in Queensland and it is a huge advantage for Brisbane. And
then obviously
Sydney, they're in a hot form, and they do play North Melbourne this week, which considers technically a free win for them if they don't choke.
Yeah,
Then they
move
play
it.
Collingwood.
I'll
and
go.
then-
I'll go. Sydney and Brisbane are both 98% chance to make finals. 99.
Yeah, 'cause the Swans would be able to run away, especially with their form.
Yeah, they got really high percentage as well, or like average at this point, really in the 8.
Yeah, especially
So-
after that win against GWS.
They're not sliding. Actually, they might slide.
Then of course, Collingwood.
I think we should be talking about the top 4 race instead because
Yeah,
the top 4 is really close.
close. Yeah.
I mean, Collingwood, Melbourne, and Geelong are all 100% chance to make finals because mathematically they can't miss it.
Yeah, but it's just about the top 4 because this year I think top 4 will have a really key advantage
think-
for.
I
the
think it's
teams
really
who
just a
make it.
battle for 4, to be honest, because
I think the main teams in contention for the 4 are Geelong, Melbourne, Collingwood,
Geelong will
Sydney,
probably
Brisbane,
finish first on the ladder.
yeah,
Brisbane,
and even Fremantle.
Freo, and
Fremantle.
maybe even Carlton, but probably not Carlton.
Probably not. They're probably too low.
Carlton, like I said before, Carlton are really inconsistent and they play, not too well against good teams.
I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I think
it's all based on percentage as well. Like, if you draw
Because-
with someone, there's
No
less.
offense, Tarkin, because as you know, Collingwood's percentage is pretty low for a
It's
top
pretty appalling.
16.
yeah, Collingwood's presenting
And
because we
it can
win
go
all these close
anywhere
games,
because-
but
Collingwood play like 2 hard teams, and I think they play Carlton as well, which makes it 2.5 hard teams because you never know what can happen with Carlton.
so
I mean, you have
boys,
won your last turn.
give top 8 predictions. Lucas, go. Top 8 predictions. order.
Geelong, Melbourne, Collingwood. I think Brisbane will hop up then Sydney, Freo, Carlton, and then I think Richmond will edge their way in.
Jaden.
I think Geelong, Melbourne, then I think Sydney might be third. Brisbane, Collingwood, Fremantle, Carlton, and Richmond will make the 8.
Banjo.
Yeah, I have to strongly agree with Lucas here. I reckon Richmond will work their way in.
Mine, I'm going to go Geelong will finish on top of the ladder. Sydney second.
That's a bold take right
That's
there.
a bold call. Melbourne have to
Melbourne
lose.
third. Collingwood finish fourth. Brisbane fifth. Carlton jump Freo into sixth. Freo finish seventh, and the Western Bulldogs get into the A.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Richmond have a breezy 3 last games, I think, actually, don't they?
Yeah, no, because Richmond, they don't have the easiest games, but they don't have the hardest games as well.
Yeah, and Bulldogs, I think, have a pretty hard set of games to play as well because of Freo.
I think my key with Melbourne finishing third is their run home. They've got obviously Collingwood, then Carlton, then Brisbane in Queensland.
Yeah, that's a good case. But Melbourne, they are in form. They can at least maybe win Collingwood. Then who else do they play? I think they play, Targan, who do they play? They play Carlton, which they should be able to win.
Yeah, Carlton. Sorry, I think my mic glitched a bit then. Carlton.
Yeah. They should be able to win that Carlton game. And the Melbourne-Brisbane game, it can go anywhere, especially when it's up in Queensland.
Yeah. We'll go top 6 teams on the ladder at the moment. Give us your percentage chance to win the flag. We'll start with Fremantle.
I think, honestly, they have a 33% chance. It's
Fremantle
pretty high.
have,
It's
like,
pretty
you know-
high, but they do win they do win the ones that they should win.
I mean,
Fremantle have a good, they're the underdogs, of course.
When the pressure is on, they get going.
if
But
we got if
they have the but I think the 2 most inexperienced teams in the 8 are Fremantle and Carlton.
Is
Because,
Fife out for the season as well?
They haven't made finals for a long time, and mainly because I think experience matters in the finals, as you've seen with the other teams who've made it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
Fife's out for 3 weeks. And then, yeah.
Fremantle
Freo
don't have a
obviously $21
Fremantle
on
should
sports
be
bet.
able to win their first game.
You're reading sports bet ads now, aren't you?
We'll go to
Um,
my thing for Freo is I'm going to give them about a 4% chance to win the flag. I don't think they're much chance.
Okay.
Fremantle have a chance, to make some noise in the finals.
They'll
They
make
should
noise.
be able to win their elimination final, but then you never know what can happen after that because the next top 5 teams will be really hard to play, and Fremantle have to be in their best form.
Brisbane.
I'm not too sure about this one, to be honest.
I think I'm going to give Brisbane a 22% chance to win the flag. I think it really just depends.
Freo have a high chance, to be honest, than Brisbane.
Actually, I'm going to go.
They'll finish above them on the ladder, but then they'll come back.
I think Brisbane's chance to actually. I think Brisbane could make the grand final, but they won't win it because they haven't won at the MCG in so long.
It's about want.
And like before, inconsistency for Brisbane as well, especially blowing that lead against Richmond. That's probably a key thing for Brisbane as well. So
We'll go to
need to perform very
Sydney.
Sydney, I think they have a 50%, or not 50, like a 30 to 50% chance.
I think they have I think they have a 40% chance to make the final.
I'm gonna have to go with Lucas on 40. Banjo.
Honestly, I have no idea. Honestly.
Yeah, this is a hard one. You gave us hard things that we prepare for.
I think it's going to be a good finals this year.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be a very intriguing and exciting final series.
Last year, everybody probably predicted that Melbourne and the Bulldogs would make it to the grand final. Even though the Bulldogs form it did drop off eventually at the end of the year. It was still Melbourne versus Bulldogs, and everybody could predict that.
The Pies.
I think they're going to choke. They have a long history of choking.
Because Collingwood, they have a good mix with good players, veterans and youngsters. And I think, the youngsters will get the experience from the veterans. Will get help from the veterans.
Percentage?
Like I said with Freo, I think they're underdogs as well, mainly because of how many youngsters they have on their team.
They are quite unpredictable. I think that's what the key difference is in this top 4.
Collingwood have a 30 to 40% chance of winning the flag.
I think
they have a chance of making finals. Winning it is a different story, though.
I think they did make it in 2018 as
and then conceded.
Underdog.
I think the key with Collingwood is our best footy is definitely up there with Geelong as one of the best in the league, but we're just too inconsistent with how often we actually play that really solid football.
Yeah, you're inconsistent.
The last few weeks you've played, the winning streak you've had, a lot of them have been really close games.
Yeah.
I honestly think
if you played, you played some okay teams, you played some good teams, but you never know because if you guys have to play Geelong or something,
do you have any injuries?
You guys would have to stick your lead.
Adams is out to the end of the home and away season, but he comes back for finals.
Okay.
And that's
anyone else?
That's about it.
It's a key piece for your leadership because he is one of the veterans of the squad.
Yeah.
It's probably good for your club for finals, especially.
I'm going to give us 50-50 chance of winning the flag.
Nah, it's too high. I don't even think you'll get up there.
Collingwood, they've still got competitors Melbourne, Sydney, and Geelong.
And they're consistent. They're pretty consistent at this point.
Yeah, but they've still got there are other teams that are pretty consistent as well with Sydney and Geelong.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, as for Melbourne and Geelong, Melbourne I'm going to give an 80% chance, and Geelong I'm going to give a 95% chance. I reckon they're red hot flag favourites at the moment.
Yeah, they got lots of form as well. I think it's going to be pretty hard. Well, yeah, that's true. but they
Yeah,
still
that's my
like.
point. When was the last time they lost the game?
Wait, I can check.
Geelong and Melbourne. Sorry, Geelong and Collingwood have both won 10 in a row.
Yeah, exactly my
Oh,
point.
okay.
They are too good at this point.
They're really good. So I think the last time they lost is against St Kilda. Yeah,
No,
against St Kilda. Oh wait,
wait.
no.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
that's the last time they lost. The last time they lost was a 10-point loss against St Kilda.
It shows the unpredictability of the final series, doesn't it?
So yeah,
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a hard one. They got lots of form. How long ago was that?
10 weeks ago.
Exactly.
that's 10
It's
weeks
all
ago.
changed from then.
A
They've
lot of
improved
football
as team as
changed
well.
with all the injuries and stuff.
Should we move on to the
Geelong
next
have been
thing?
playing really good football.
Yeah, just before we get to our last section, there is some breaking new emerging news from Nine News Brisbane. As they understand, Buddy Franklin's informed the Swans he will not be playing for Sydney next year. Brisbane
Oh.
looming as his most likely destination.
Oh,
If Buddy Franklin joins Brisbane are instant premiership contender.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't
In their
miss.
forward line, they've already got like what Joe Danaher, Charlie Cameron, Cam Rayner, Eric Hipwood, and Dan McStay. You throw
I mean, Danaher's
Buddy in
pretty
there.
unpredictable, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw Buddy in that, forward line, it will be a very deadly forward line.
Yeah, I think definitely some shocking news, that is, but just we'll get more on that in next week's episode as it rolls out and we'll find out some more information. But we'll move on to the last little segment, which is a bit on the high contact and ducking issues and incidents that have become of notice recently in the AFL.
Yeah, most notably the Ginnivan tackle.
As
Umpires will have no toleration
For
anymore,
me,
really.
the refs just need to pay attention to the.
Yeah, they need to pay ducking a lot
I
more.
think it's not. I think it's more, rather than the calls, I think it's more about the actual inconsistency because they're very because
then you get that. You never know what can happen.
I think they should add like if you like fake it, like something, you should get like a free kick or a 50-meter.
No, you get suspended.
If you carry on, you
fined
should
when
get.
When
There should be a
when
punishment.
you duck or fake or anything.
I think the key is, and I've heard this from a few people, that people are now saying that Ginnivan may not get a free kick again in his life because they just don't pay
He's
him.
very young as well.
For me, the way to solve this solution is
It's gonna be another Bolton.
I think basically just do what soccer do. Like they introduced VAR, and I think AFL they should introduce that to make the game more fair.
The game's gonna be so much more slower if we introduce VAR.
I know. I definitely don't think the reviews are a good option, but
I think Ginnivan's the new
To make
Bolton.
it
He doesn't get
fair,
any
it's
free kicks
for,
anymore.
I think the key is with the umpiring is it's got to be consistent. Even if you don't make calls, if players do that, like whatever duck around the neck, you've got to do it for every player because there was Melbourne players on the weekend and whatever that were getting those free kicks that Ginnivan wasn't.
Well, my question is now, what difference would that make to final series? If Collingwood do make it, and it comes down to that
that high
being the issue, it's gonna be a pretty stupid mistake from Ginnivan.
I think a lot of people carry on about Ginnivan, but he's young. He's a 19-year-old and he's having success in the AFL, and it's a skill.
It is a skill, and he loves the camera.
Even on the weekend, he didn't get a single free kick and he still kicked 3 goals.
That is true.
So for mine, he's playing very good footy still at the moment. I think he's enhancing Collingwood's forward line.
Just talented, that's all. You just need talent. It's not
You need
about
talent.
getting free kicks. It's about talent and skill in the AFL. It's not about trying to gain free kicks. To boost your fame or how good you are. It's about the skill and the talent you have.
But my main question is, will it affect Collingwood's chances of finals? Do you reckon one of these calls could be like the cause of something? Because they've been having pretty close games recently.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, yeah, you never know. But
I mean,
That's
I
all
believe in one of the finals that one of those like stupid calls will happen, and it might cost a game for a club.
yeah. That's all we got time for in today's episode of the Goal of the Year Footy Show. Thanks, everyone and the boys, for coming on. See how our tips prevail, and we'll see you all next week.